What's up, you nerds? Welcome back to Yellow Spandex. This week's episode, we talk about, first off, we start off with just like prayers to Tennessee, so that's pretty sweet. And then we go into Super Mario World theme park in Japan and Hollywood, possibly in the future. The Simpsons released a poster for the Avengers Endgame parody. I didn't even know that was a thing, so that's amazing. Famous Konami code creator Kazushi Hashimoto, passed away, and we will always remember the Konami code. WandaVision done filming. Tom Holland's in there, and also rumors about Allison Brie right here on Yellow Spandex. Check it out.
Hey, so thoughts and prayers for all our friends in Nashville. I spent most of the day texting people that didn't already post on Facebook that they were all right. Because it's really wishy-washy, because they said the death count's over 20-something now.
Yeah, at first it was like, oh, there's only 3. And then I saw 9 and then, oh my gosh.
Yeah, have you seen the photos from it?
Yeah.
It's wild, especially because all of us have been there, like the basement's gone.
Mm-hmm. It ripped through downtown.
I know it ran through East Nashville.
Yeah.
I know it ran through East Nashville. Because some friends who live there took photos from the front lawn, and it was just it's what exactly. Did you ever live through a tornado in Indiana?
I mean, there was nasty storms, but I never went through a tornado.
So in my childhood, we had 2, and that went straight through our neighborhood. 2 houses away and stuff. And it's exactly as I remember it and stuff. It's 10 minutes will just change your life. It just rips things. If there's basements, it rips them out of the ground, and it's nuts. And then the building next door is fine, so it's just nuts because after they just kind of recovered from the flood years ago and stuff, and now more stuff it's wild.
In 2008 we moved out here, and so we drove across, and we went randomly, we just went through Kansas, some area, and it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. It was there's a couple new buildings, but everything else was leveled. And there's a street lamp that was twisted around in circles, and you're like, what the heck happened? And they're like, oh, there was a tornado last spring or whatever, and it leveled. It was F5. It was 5 miles long.
Wow.
It leveled everything.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
So prayers for those guys out there.
Yeah, so hopefully the death toll doesn't go higher, and everything. The only silver lining is what's different from this than a flood is that you start recovering right away. The flood, you have to wait months for everything. But
and that wasn't televised at all. I heard everybody kind of the news kind of ignored the whole flood.
Really?
Yeah.
I saw it all over the news when we were in the East Coast. But I don't know. I know the tornado was a little bit more hard hitting because it's social media and all that stuff.
Well, tornadoes are a freaky thing for some odd reason. I think floods, and people are like, meh.
Which is, it's just funny to think of tornadoes being so special. I mean, they're horrible, but it's funny to think of them being so special because especially I lived in Tornado Alley in Indiana. And so they were, it was like rain, it's so common. It's just generally they happen in fields. And then, like I said, the 2 times in my childhood where they actually just ripped straight through downtown and residential areas, and then after years, decades later, when I was an adult, there's that viral video of the Starbucks getting leveled. It's nuts. Anyway, so on to better news.
Yeah. Oy.
What do we got?
What we got? Well, you had something on Super Mario World or whatever, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is a funny thing. So Universal Studios is building Mario World, but the part I'm excited for is not necessarily for me to go there and do this thing. I'm more excited that this just exists. Because I got super excited last time I heard that some Japanese park was making a Naruto, which is an anime theme park. And I was like, holy, that's amazing that people are able to experience that now. And they're going to be able to experience this Super Mario Brothers. And they also have these wearable power-up bands that do different things. You can
super interactive.
Punch boxes to get coins, and I guess it's attached to an app. It looked amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that does look really, really cool. We were talking a little bit earlier about Universal Studios, and my daughter has one of the wands for the Harry Potter land that was $75 or something stupid.
Wow.
Yeah, they're stupid expensive, and they're like, oh, they have an RFID chip in it that says you can do, in certain areas you can do spells, and it's literally yay, something in the window's shaking.
Right.
Okay.
The only thing that gives me a little bit more hope for this is that's the Japanese. Because just to be clear, this thing's happening in Japan like years and years before it's gonna ever come to the States.
Yeah.
And so like the tech and then just the standards. Because when I was a kid, we used to go to like Korean theme parks like Latte World, and then there was another one I can't. Oh, it was like Expo '93. That's probably wrong. Somebody's gonna correct me. There was a science expo that happened in Korea that they made this huge future city and everything. They just like in general just go balls to the wall. So like when Science Expo happened in Korea, it was like for part of a year they built an entirely new city for that, and then when it was done just tore it down.
Oh dang.
But the whole city had like this future tech like suspension bridges and things that now exist like more commonly, but that time were like kind of different and stuff. But yeah, they just went for it. They built like roller coasters and theme, like all this stuff that was like super high technology, and then just like leveled it. And they were like, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I was like, okay.
Did they just like up and leave? Like, you ever seen the like the Olympic stadiums around the world that are just like overgrown with like, it looks like, I don't know, in the future when there's no humans left?
It's very It's
I haven't even thought about that.
It's very similar. That's why like I heard stories of like cities who don't want to host the Olympics.
Yeah.
Because of that. Because like you on your own dime you spend like how many billions of dollars. You know. Oh, I did see Vince might be able to like actually verify this because I don't watch anime, but I saw someone break down like the plot of Akira, and they were like, so it's about a virus breaking out in the world, like a pandemic, like weeks before the Olympics are held in Japan, and in the year 2020, and they're like, Japan Olympics 2020 coronavirus. They're like,
That's funny.
I've seen the end of that a few times, and I'm just like, what is going on?
Wait,
yeah,
the end of Akira?
Yeah.
Why do you only see the
I
end
don't
of
know.
Akira?
Like, I only like walk in because it'll be on like a channel or something somewhere, and I'll be like, what?
That's like the weirdest thing.
And that's what I'm like. Why would this movie is nuts? What is going on?
yeah, with the big monster and
Yeah.
everything. Have you seen?
Which is him.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, spoiler.
Have you seen the new season of Rick and Morty?
No, not yet.
Oh, see, they make a reference to it there.
Nice.
That's probably why you've only seen the end of it too.
I did one. I tried watching Naruto with Naomi, and I know
Naruto,
people that
yeah.
actually watch it say it differently. Is it Naruto?
Yeah. Well, they say like Naruto. But, you know,
I was trying to
us
watch it with Naomi.
Americans- Not just playing.
Because there was like a channel. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Pluto TV. I don't
Yes,
know.
it
Is it
looks
legal?
familiar.
I don't even know.
I don't
it
know.
looks like it's legal. I don't know.
I watch stuff on there.
And they have a whole channel for Naruto.
Naruto.
And so I was like, trying to get my daughter to watch it with me, and she's like, "No, this is dumb." Like,
Oh, yeah. That like anybody who is an anime fan, or no, anyone who is beginning to be an anime fan, Naruto is a good series to start because it kind of has everything that envelops anime in it.
it's like, you like Miyazaki films. Like, why can't you watch this?
Yeah, I know, right? That's not a
interesting.
stretch.
Yesterday in California on Twitter, Kiki's delivery service was trending completely randomly.
Kiki's.
Nothing else was happening.
That's
that I know
weird.
of. And if somebody knows why in California it was trending number one,
What is Kiki's?
it's a Studio,
yeah, it's-
Studio Ghibli film.
Yeah, it's she's a witch, and she comes to a new city. It's like a little girl, and she has a talking cat. The one that we have is the cat's Phil Hartman, so you can tell how old. Like,
It's from the 70s or 80s?
no, it's from the 80s,
80s,
like
okay.
made, but I think it was 89 that it got dubbed
Okay.
over here. So
Because like I mentioned this on like last week or the week before's podcast, like a bunch of YouTubers, specifically Patrick Willems and Scott from NerdSync, have cited it as like a movie about YouTubers before YouTube existed. And stuff. It like cited it for the burnout and everything.
Yeah,
this
is-
interesting.
she gets
this
burned
is-
out because she delivers stuff for people around town.
It's one of those direct.
It's Miyazaki films,
Yeah. That's why I haven't seen it. I've only seen like 2 of his films.
Yeah.
And there's actually a festival. I don't know what they call it. It's basically a night where they run every one of his movies, like
But
like
At AMC,
marathon.
At AMC, they had a Studio Ghibli festival over the summer. Every week, they showed a different one.
That's cool. I think I'd rather do that than watch them all in one night.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do it all in one night. That's just a lot of screaming and elevated
I already do it.
I do it on my own.
So
Rod,
yeah.
Vince, what are you doing?
I
Studio Ghibli marathon.
not Rod. I watched that Broly Dragon Ball movie with Vince.
Yeah.
In the theaters. It was fine. I think. I mean, it wasn't bad. I just didn't know what was going on, so I couldn't tell if it was good.
Yeah.
But people who know me know that like my capacity for like input is somewhat small, and so like having that much input all at once, and also like the intensity of emotion happening for like an hour and a half. It's like when it was over, I just had to like drink. Like it was just like a lot.
So Totoro, Spirited Away, these are the ones I've seen.
It's funny because like there's, especially with Dragon Ball, I'm sure there's a crap ton of like when it goes to the movie or whatever, there's a crap ton of stuff that you're already walking into. You need to know about the characters.
Yeah, I found out later this was like a retcon of a major character. I was like, sure. It's my first time.
It's really funny. We started watching the Turtles 2012 version again, and I think we've actually finished it, which is crazy. I think it was 7 seasons.
Oh,
something like that. The Nickelodeon version, which is good for 3 seasons. And then the last one is awful. But it was just funny how like they took a long time to actually get to the story, and like they spread it out over enough time. And then I was like, hey, Penny, because Penny, my daughter, Penny, she's 4 years old, and she's just loving Turtles. Like it's crazy. I'm like, yes, finally. And so I was like, hey, we'll watch the originals. And so I bought some on Google Play, and we started playing. There's only like 8 episodes for the first season.
Did she like them?
She likes them.
Oh, good.
But like they immediately jump into everything. Like it's crazy how like quick and so much that's just thrown at you that I didn't remember. I'm like, holy crap, they're at the neutrinos in like the episode 4. Like this is weird. Like
that's how I felt about Power Rangers. Because as an adult, I was like, oh yeah, remember like what season did the Green Ranger happen? They're like, right, that was the first season. And I was like,
third episode or something.
It's like, no, it wasn't. That was like 6 seasons later. No, it was like episode 8 or something like that. Like it was like halfway through. They were just like switching it up. And then I was like, well, the White Ranger was definitely different seasons. Like that was literally like 2 episodes later. I'm like, what? It felt like years.
Yeah, it did. I agree.
And I don't know how, because it was an episode every day. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
I mean, originally it wasn't every day. It was every Saturday.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, but I mean, when you watch them, you probably did see them every day because once after a certain period of time, they started showing reruns every day.
Maybe. I just remember seeing them every day after school, and like I feel like I was part of like the hype. We were like waiting for the new episode, as if there was like a plot to figure out or something.
They would definitely do that. They did that with X-Men for a while, Spider-Man for a while, to where every day you'd see a episode of the last season or whatever, and just keep going in order.
Speaking of X-Men, so the Leewalds just finally announced. Wait. So for anybody that doesn't know, like Vince and I have been talking, or me specifically, been talking to Eric Leewald about doing some collaboration with NerdSync. And last holiday season, they couldn't say why, but they had a big deadline. And so we had to keep putting off meetings and stuff. And now we're finally catching up on meetings. And they finally announced last week, I think, that they're what's it called? He's putting out a new book about X-Men.
Oh, cool.
About the animated series.
Well, the one that I have of his is right behind you.
Yeah.
Previously on X-Men.
This one has something, I think it's about the art.
Oh, nice.
Of X-Men. It's quite a bit more.
Is it Larry Houston or whatever that's done? Because I know he was part of that.
Maybe this one is. Oh yeah, the art and making of the series. It's a hardcover book. It's $50.
Yeah. Well, this one I think was 40. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So this one, it looks like more of like a coffee table, kind of like the
bigger
art books. But I don't know. I mean, nobody knows. It just says releasing in October and stuff. But that's cool. That's gonna be.
But that's like self-done too, so it's got to be at least at a price that's gonna at least not make them lose money.
It's through a publisher. Wait, it's 12 by 10 inches. Oh, that is a pretty big book.
Yeah.
So that's a good coffee table book.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's that much bigger than that one.
It just
bigger than like a Masterworks
it
or something.
just looks super like wide, like
graphics.
I think in a couple weeks, like the X-Men's releasing. Marvel has never done like a from start to finish of any book. Like they just released like random, like here's a Masterworks of this, and the Masterworks are like the smaller versions. They've got maybe they got like a run of from here to there. But then they'll have an omnibus that has like a bigger run, and it's huge. But now they've released, and I think I might have talked about it one podcast. They had a big giant box of like X-Men, basically from like 1960 to 1980. So it'll be like from the beginning to like basically where Days of Futures Past. Like, and it'll also contain like all new X or the not all new X-Men.
All of it.
All of that from there to there, yeah.
Whoa.
As also the companions, because there's a time when X-Men wasn't popular, and so they just were doing reprints for I don't know, at least 5 or 6 years, I think.
So much content.
And but they did also have like crossovers, and so like they have like the Lost Years book, so it's just a bunch of crossovers. Actually, that's where Beast became Blue, was in a crossover when they weren't even having X-Men comics.
Gotcha. Instead of the human in this bodysuit.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It's interesting. Before getting here, I was watching a YouTube video essay about the first Iron Man movie. They reiterate a lot of things that all of us always talk about. Like it was an independent studio, nobody knew what was going to happen and stuff, and that they didn't have a script and they just kind of made it up as they went along and stuff. But that, and then what you're talking about with the X-Men series, there was a period the X-Men weren't popular.
Yeah.
It just kind of reminds me of like, if you're out there, if you're doing like, say you're like, I don't know, if you're a writer, if you want to draw comics, whatever, and somebody tells you like, well, you can't rely on like what Marvel did or whatever because they're Marvel. It's like, yeah, but they weren't all in Marvel, like like somebody started somewhere, and stuff. So like they had, and that's why we have Spider-Man at Sony and all this stuff. They had to like sell stuff to like stay afloat. So like, don't, unless it's something illegal or hurting somebody, don't be ashamed of your process. Like, go for it, because one, well, it's not little, it was a $140 million Iron Man movie.
Yeah.
Like turned into like a gajillion billion dollar,
Yeah, if that thing would have sunk, it probably would have been sold off to someone else or parted, and then, that would have been awful. I mean,
we may not have even had characters. God knows nobody like.
Well, the comics, I'm sure, would have been torn apart too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's weird to think of that. But Marvel's also been like on bankrupt a few times. I don't know about bankrupt. I know in the late 90s before the, I think Blade movie, they almost went bankrupt. The comics were doing awful. There's a part in the early 90s where like they were doing great, and then all the awesome like writers and pencilers and everything else decided to up and create their own, which was Image Comics. And so they all left, and like comics kind of like stunk for a little while.
I remember Image Comics because that's where a little boy could see boobies.
They were definitely the dark thing, and that's why like Marvel and DC both were trying to be dark towards the end, like, or towards that era. They're like,
speaking of, I don't know if you have anything for the new Batman movie this week.
Not yet, no.
I read a headline, and it was just a headline because I knew the article's probably like kind of half-assed. But the headline was enough of the news, is that there's like a rumor that Catwoman is going to be like one of the antagonists or whatever in this movie.
Okay.
But they specifically said a darker Catwoman. And I was like, well, those are keywords on top of the outfit we just saw that I'm not interested in.
Or they could literally mean that, because isn't it the one girl that's dark?
Oh,
I can't remember.
Is she not a white?
I don't think she is completely a white. I'm not sure. I can't even remember who it is. And I just remember that being a controversy.
This made it seem like, unless it was just that, which I'll be more disappointed in, it made it seem like they're going to have like a pretty twisted story for Catwoman.
I mean, I can understand Batman being that way. This is why The Dark Knight worked, but like why all the other studios tried to copy it. Dark Knight is okay to be dark. I don't know.
Well, Catwoman, like, like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, who's always like the default Catwoman for me. Even, I mean, I love Eartha Kitt and all that stuff, but for some reason that like Michelle Pfeiffer like just maybe it was also because I was going through puberty around the similar time or something, but like it was just like, that's Catwoman. I felt like that was pretty fucking dark.
Yeah.
Like it's she got like shoved. We recently watched it at Thanksgiving. It was playing on a TV where we had a Friendsgiving. It's like Christopher Walken pushed her out of a building. A bunch of cats like licked her wound. She went home and like cut up everything. It seems pretty dark.
Danny
like,
DeVito bites off dude's nose. Yeah.
But I mean, even just the character of Catwoman is like, I don't know if she's going to become a serial killer or something. Like,
I mean, you can't. I mean, here's where you're going to get into problems though, because Batman's married to her now. So I mean,
really?
Yeah, and so
Right.
and she's somewhat of an anti-hero. So it's just kind of weird.
Well, even Anne Hathaway was a little back and forth, right?
Yeah, I try to ignore that movie.
I like Anne Hathaway. I like the idea of what happened there. Because, like, the fact, like, the idea that, like, her, like, whole, like, headgear thing turned into the cat. So she wasn't, like, purposely, like, I'm Catwoman, you know? It was just, like, she happened to, like, just, I don't know. It was interesting. But at least it wasn't, like, the dark take. So now that we've seen, like, the outfit for Batman, and then we see this, like, little, like, kind of supposed leak, that darker Catwoman, like, every descriptor is, like, one step away of me from giving that movie a shot.
Well, yeah, some of the stuff that's come out, I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures and of the bat suit, and this is the stuntman crashing.
Oh yeah, we talked about this last week. Like, I texted Josh. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a fan of the casting in the first place. Nothing against Pattinson, like, at all. I just don't. You can't really come into a movie when you have something with baggage like that. I just don't. I mean, he's doing a really, really good job trying to shed it.
I was giving it a shot all the way until I saw that costume in daylight. I was like, this is like a fundamental misunderstanding of what this character is.
I mean, it looks a little bit like year one kind of era, so I don't know. I'm willing to maybe give it a chance as long as
I don't like having
are.
things like negative to say about it because I have no idea what it's going to be. I have no idea. What I'm seeing now, it could not even be in the movie. I don't know.
Yeah. Or they could redo it. I'm not a fan of the suit. I'm especially not a fan of like the whole funny bat thing. Did you see that that's not Honest Trailers, how it should have ended? Or like Batman's like, I'm so dark. Look at me. Like, and he's in the bathroom with like a red light. Superman walks in like, what are you doing in there? Nothing. Ooh, new bat soda. I want to see.
That's funny though, because like a few months ago, before Disney Plus launched, you said you felt like it wasn't gonna be like what we thought it was, and I was like kind of hopeful for that. I feel like I was kind of alone in that sentiment. I was like, they're gonna have big movie budgets. Then we saw The Mandalorian. We're like, it was. It's even bigger. Like, have you seen the makings of that?
No.
They went like the next generation green screen. It's not even a green screen. It's like an LED wall that has the graphics on it, and it's running Unreal Engine, the gaming engine. And it's tethered to the camera. So as the camera moves, the parallax in the background moves in real time. So all that stuff in the background is actually being projected.
Oh, crazy.
And they're able to like, that's why they said like all the eye lines and everything were correct. Because when somebody looks in the distance, the actor actually sees
what he's talking about.
What they're in, and stuff. So,
I mean, that's the only thing they've released though. And that was the thing I was kind of worried about. They were going to be like, hey, we got all this good stuff. And like, there wasn't. They just released that, and that's why we kind of talked about like everybody ditching it in the beginning of the year. But now they're starting. I think they hauled rear end to kind of get some more stuff out. Clone Wars just came out, which is doing pretty good. I like this next episode that they kind of released, and was it? I think they upped up WandaVision, which actually just finished filming. That's one of the things we could talk about. Nice. But they're going to do that this year. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier's first. At the end, but it's still like halfway through the year before that comes out.
Yeah,
and then after that, it's Mandalorian and WandaVision, I think.
I still think they're going to be great, but my point of all that was like, if we're willing to like be skeptical of Disney Plus, I think it's just as fair to be just as skeptical about this Batman thing with everything we've seen.
Yeah,
like it just seems fair.
Skepticism is good, but. Just bashing on stuff. Then I get a little bit like, lay off Pattinson, all right?
Yes, it's not even Pattinson.
Leave Brittany alone.
Yeah,
okay?
It's not even Pattinson.
It doesn't look bad.
It's not even Pattinson. That looks, that's awful. Like
the helmet looks, the cowl. It's just, oof.
Like, but this is also like, I don't know if we'll ever even get still. I don't know. It's just hard to judge. Like this photo of him looks horrible. But will that be what we see in the movie like this?
So everybody in the comments, place your bets. Will Batman be the masterpiece that we've all been waiting for? Or will it be a flop for like, or where in between on the spectrum would it be?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's probably, if they play it off like it's a year one thing, I could be okay with it. Like this is his first costume. It's his young stuff. They're going through stuff.
There's no way he's going to be able to pull off like an older Batman.
But that already... For me, and I feel like a lot of people we talked about is like we don't want to see.
You don't want to see Origins anymore.
The original Batman.
Yeah.
So that even if the costume was fucking amazing, and I saw that, I'm like, well, that's a year one Batman. It's like that already tells me I really don't care about the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
Where he's like dealing with the death of his parents and stuff. And it's like
I don't care if you bring in Catwoman either. I'm just not a fan of that. It'd be nice if you brought in Poison Ivy. I mean, you can do some great CG stuff with that. But I would really. They're so. Warner Brothers and DC are just so protective of Batman. It is hilarious. You should listen to, I think Kevin Smith had talked about when he did some comics for Batman, just how protective of Batman they are.
I do not like this bat thing though with the gun or whatever they're saying
it just looks weird, doesn't it?
I don't.
It's like it's trying to be too cool or something. I don't know.
Well, it's just I do appreciate that it's never been done before.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate that, but I just, as far as just being a fan or whatever. And then like I had mentioned like a couple episodes back, because we've been talking about this for a while. The armbands look like Black Widow's armbands.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like those like shocker.
Yeah, the tasers. Yeah,
you heard it here
stingers.
first, man. Black Widow and Batman crossover. It's true. It's confirmed.
Confirmed.
We got this covered. Reported it yesterday. But if they haven't, they're going to take this clip from the podcast
and they'll use it.
tomorrow.
Yeah, they're like, look, we might get some views for that. Then
there you go.
Right.
But like, I would have been okay with Ben Affleck doing this because he was originally supposed to be in this Matt Reeves Batman movie, The Batman. I would have loved if they would have been like, okay, it's old Batman, and then we're dealing with the Bat family. So we got, Batwoman in it. We could even have Damian in it. You could have Tim Drake in it. You could have him as Red Hood or whatever. I mean, it'd be great. Like, then that would be a great thing to watch. I think that would be $1 billion movie. If you could have Bat Family in there, you'd have enough of the fans would be like, I think like, this is finally our movie to watch Batman. But we're just rehashing the same thing over and over again. It's gonna get boring.
Like, even when you're saying like Rob Pattinson, like any of the actors, like Ben Affleck, Rob Pattinson, or anything, like I was always willing to give it a chance. I still probably am going to see the movie, obviously, but like just like that, it wasn't even one image; it was several like images from the set and stuff. It was like, okay, it's like. And also, maybe it's just jaded me specifically, I guess, because in LA we have like a ton of cosplay friends who've done like way sicker stuff with foam. You know, like
I think we saw some like Dark Side stuff, and I know no, it wasn't Dark Side. Even though I've seen some good Dark Side cosplays, it was Apocalypse cosplays that was like way better than the X-Men Apocalypse movie. Nice. So you're like, wow, well, you could do it.
That's another thing is like when we saw the first images of Apocalypse. I remember like, okay, well maybe the rest of the movie will be sick, Well, because we saw Psylocke first, and she looked amazing. She looked exactly spot on to what the character was. But I mean, that story just. So like I think the little glimmer of hope we had for Apocalypse is there was that small scene where he was growing bigger.
Yeah.
Then obviously when we saw the movie, we found out that it was like a dream sequence or something. So then we saw the movie, you're like, well, that didn't surprise me. He looks awful.
Yeah, it's the worst. I think it's the worst X-Men movie. As much crap as that last Dark Phoenix got, it's like the culmination of all the hate of the X-Men. Just being pissed of watching all the bad X-Men movies.
The thing that upset me the most about Dark Phoenix was how like meh it was. Like,
there's some alright action scenes.
It was all right, but like the whole time sitting there, I'm like, this is your big
to do
your big franchise closer.
Yep.
Oh
well.
I didn't know Andy Serkis was Alfred.
Oh, in the new one?
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
It's freaking awesome.
Or maybe I did and then I forgot. I don't know.
I don't know. That gives me a little gleam of hope.
Yeah, I like Andy Serkis. I could see him as Alfred, I think. Yeah.
So I guess unless they age him, then that reinforces your theory of being a young Batman.
Yeah.
Andy's like not Alfred old.
Yeah, but Alfred, I don't know.
I guess you really never know how old Alfred is. In my head, he's always like, like retirement age, like he was old when Bruce Wayne was a little boy.
I feel like he's the same age as his parents were. So,
okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I just always see him as the animated series Alfred. I don't know. I can't get around it.
Yeah, like in that one, he looks like maybe like in his 60s or so to me.
Yeah.
Maybe
a little bit earlier, maybe like late 50s because he's just he doesn't look too old.
I was just like he's like to me it was just like white and he had that like crown like balding thing like happening and stuff. I was like, oh,
there's this great panel of him just like gunning down someone who broke into the Batman lab, and he's just like, my master may not like guns, but I have nothing to do with that or whatever. And he just guns the dude down that tried to come in and hurt people. So it's just funny.
I had the Alfred action figure when I was a kid for the animated series. That was fun.
I think that guy passed away probably 4 or 5 years ago, I think.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah. I can still hear the voice.
Yeah.
That's what I always compare it to. Who was he in the Christopher Nolan Batmans? He was a really good Alfred.
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
I think he's just a great actor. He can just walk in and be like, where do I go? Okay, fine.
Besides the balding part, he looked like what I imagined like if he walked out of the animated series. He just like as the look, like he's got it right,
Yeah. I feel like he is more like a family caretaker in that movie rather than an actual butler.
Like an indentured servant.
No. I feel like he's more like just helping out the family after he died, or after they died. But yeah, I love that. And I loved Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. I mean, he was spot on for that character. Just
I wasn't familiar with him before the movies.
No, he's in the cartoon if you watch it.
I guess I just didn't like when I was a kid.
He's like a side character, I guess.
Maybe that's what it was.
Bullock.
It's like that kind of like who?
Bullock. He's like he's like the fat policeman.
Oh yes, yeah, I remember that. Like
kind of dork.
In the front of my head are like any of the villains, like Batman, Alfred, Commissioner Gordon, and Robin, and then everybody else is like person A, B, C. Yeah. Barbara Gordon, I guess.
Yeah, I wish there was like a Bat family stuff, and I would have loved probably if they had made more of a Birds of Prey movie rather than a Harley Quinn movie, and you had Batgirl in it. I don't know. I feel like
I'm not
lost that there.
You mentioned the Bat Family thing a few times. I'm not familiar with it, but I'd be open to the.
Well, you got Nightwing.
I thought, yeah.
You got Robin, which Nightwing used to be Robin. There's so many friggin' Robins.
There's a lot of cool
ridiculous.
images of the Bat family.
I mean, you got Batwoman, even. Gosh, and there's what's the other guy? There's even another dude that's like more of a techie kind of almost Falcon.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
I did
Red Hood.
I did learn about Batwoman, not just because of the TV show that happened last year or whatever,
It's still going on, but yeah.
but also, it started last year, right?
I think there was crossovers last year. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she got her own show last year. I
This
just
year,
saw
I
the
think she
bull.
got her new her
Oh, in
show this
2020?
year. Well, I guess in 19 to 2020.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
guess,
because I remember last year I remember seeing the billboards around town for it, and I just became aware of her because of that, and then the controversy of like people who don't know the Batman franchise and stuff complaining about how woke it was. They're like, "Oh, it has to be Batwoman now. It's always been Batgirl for me."
Yeah.
Like there was like it was hilarious.
It's like the people complaining about like Garth Brooks going into the concert
oh yeah,
sporting the Sanders jersey, thinking
Yeah.
of Bernie Sanders. It's like, but he's going to Detroit and he's wearing a Barry Sanders jersey.
This is pretty funny.
People just don't know what they're talking about.
There's
Also, Garth Brooks literally has been like him and Trisha Yearwood are like probably the like somehow magically always stayed away from politics.
Yeah.
They're almost like the Dolly Partons. Like there's like we're just here singing country music.
Oh,
You know?
I love that so much. I mean, politics. If that's your gig, but like people want to like draw that out of you sometimes. We're actually recording this on Super Tuesday, and we're kind of talking a little bit, but
It's fun. Yeah. Well, I think it's important to talk about it, but at the
Yeah.
same time, like I will never like try to drag it out of somebody because that's the worst.
unless that's a part of like your music identity, which I can only see maybe like gutter punk music, maybe being that. I just feel like it just kind of gets in the way.
It depends. Like I like the Dixie Chicks. I feel like it was very on brand for them. I feel like Taylor Swift's whole like recent thing was very on brand for her, and stuff. Like I know people will disagree, dragged or whatever and
Probably
stuff.
a bad idea for the Dixie Chicks at the time, but I mean, at least a bad idea for them, like money wise.
Yeah, but I the reason I like respect it is because like you want to be on the right side of history because people say like, well, this is what I believe and everything, but you rewind to like I know people use Hitler as like an example. I'm not using it the same way, but there was also a lot of people who supported Hitler, and stuff, and like at the time it probably seemed right without like zooming back and looking at the big picture. And so like in this case, if a Taylor or a Dixie Chicks like they want to take a stand,
Yeah.
in the long run they were right.
I mean, it's you're also going in and saying, hey, here's what I believe in, and that's totally cool. But at the same time, if someone goes, well, that's kind of a deal breaker for me, like, all right. I mean, you stepped in it. Like,
it's their right too.
Yeah.
That's why I say like it.
But you're kind of taking a leap, kind of doing that. So
that's why I respect it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm never going to drag it at anybody, but man, like, be on the right side of history, or wait, at least you're taking a stand for something and on the, being on that side.
know what you believe. I'd rather, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of people, because we were talking about, politics earlier, like people just kind of do sometimes what they're programmed, I feel like, to do.
Yeah. Or the people they're around. Like I see people like in one group of people be like, oh yeah, Bernie's the guy. And then
the other group be like, oh,
this is the guy. And then this is like, oh, the president's not so bad. It's like, I need to know where you lie, at least in the general area, because I know there's some people who are like, I don't like the current president as a person, but like they genuinely believe as like the functioning office is great, wherever. I'm like, whatever. I don't agree with that, but you have your beliefs. At least you know that, So.
Yeah.
But that's my 2 cents about artists like talking.
And this is as political as we're gonna get, guys.
I honestly don't know much more to like actually have that much of an opinion on,
Yeah.
So
Okie dokie. What's some other stuff that we can talk about this week? Ooh, The Simpsons. They have a Avengers-esque crossover happening, which is really funny.
I
The
didn't know
Russos
that.
are going to be in it.
Oh really?
Yeah, and there was guys, the bad guy's called Chinos.
Oh nice.
He's got a giant chin there.
That looks like something else.
Exactly. Well,
Well, like
didn't Star-Lord say it looked like balls? His chin or whatever.
it looks like something else I looked up on the internet. But that's
Oh gosh.
that's pretty funny though. I didn't know that was happening until we walked into Josh's place and saw it on the screen. I was like, those are 2 of my favorite things. So that's awesome.
I hope it does well, because I mean Simpsons were amazing at the beginning. For I don't know, the last few years they've been okay, but before that they were just, for a while, they were awful.
The thing that sucks is I feel like the okay episodes overshadowed some of the really great ones that happened in the last like decade or so.
Yeah.
Like people say like it was all trash. I'm like, but there was a few of them in there, man.
There's
there
a
was
few that were
so good. Like,
but like when they're nestled between 21 just not very good ones.
I get it. Not everything can be, amazing. To me though, I still feel like the okay Simpsons episodes are like better than like most of the other TV that I would have watched instead, because I still end up watching it. I love it.
Yeah. You can love it, Rod.
I mean, I feel like there's a reason it's still on, even like
Yeah.
20 seasons after people said it became bad.
I love that whole thing that like it's way back when Phil Hartman was doing like the fake like this is The Simpsons on The Simpsons, and it's like who knows how many years this TV show will be on before it becomes unprofitable.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, is there some other like funding coming from something else that's not the success of the show? Or
Yeah,
I'm genuinely asking. Like I'm
does
not
it
trying
still
to be,
draw? Is what you're kind of getting to.
Yeah, because like, is there something else? Like, is there like the Illuminati funding 20 more seasons of Simpsons or
Of
something?
The Simpsons. Why would they?
Well, I'm just saying, like, I don't know, like, if it's not getting viewership, then where's the money coming
Why are they
from?
still putting money into it? I don't know. Would they still put just money straight into like something that's classic like The Simpsons like that? I don't know.
Like 5 or so years ago, I read that at that point, if they had syndicated, they would make more money, but they haven't. So I don't know otherwise, like, because they could air it on like every network.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that stuff's kind of slowly dying, but
Well, at that time, that was an option. This was
Yeah.
before all the streaming stuff was
exactly.
happening.
Okay.
Like, because I think they were saying like if it would have like gone off air, I guess it's already syndicated, but if it would have gone off air, it would have been able to be like on TBS, like I don't know if Nick at Night's still a thing, but like late night
Look at this.
stuff,
Yeah.
things like that, like random episodes just air everywhere and stuff instead of just a couple.
That'd be weird that if it's on Nick at Night. Like, I don't know, for some odd reason, like, because I remember seeing like Green Acres, which I'm sure it wasn't like as far back as I feel it was. I feel like when I was watching it, maybe it was like 20 years prior that they'd filmed that. But, and now that I think about that, like, it's just some weird thing to see that on as The Simpsons on there,
Yeah,
I don't know. I just always imagine like it's like, Leave It to Beaver and other like 50s. Like,
Nick at Night was that kind of stuff.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it'd be weird to see The Simpsons on Nick at Night, you know? I don't know. I just feel too old. Am I that old? Am I Green Acres old?
I had a nightmare about avocados a couple weeks ago, so I feel like I've hit the old.
I love that nightmare, by the way. Where you're like,
Really?
I'm scared that they were too old.
I posted this on my personal Facebook. I think some people thought I was just like messing around or trying to be clickbaity or whatever. I just woke up and I was like, I'm in a cold sweat because earlier in the day I had like bought some avocados just like I always do, and then that night I woke up in a cold sweat because it's like they went ripe too fast. What? Because on certain times if you get caught up in your dream, if you don't catch it enough time to like grasp control of it, then you just wake up with the emotions that you had.
Yes.
I hate that, and that's what happened. I'm like, wait, what?
I love the meme. Like one of your friends posted a meme afterwards where it was like, had an avocado. He's like, not yet,
yeah.
not yet, too late.
Yeah, it was like 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 3.5 days. Yeah. That's pretty much
true. It's very true.
So Green Acres was 1989.
What?
Green Acres?
No.
When was it?
1989. No.
When
Green
was it
Acres.
then?
I'm going to say Green Acres was 1970.
Was it a talk show or was it a?
Oh no, it's a
Okay, so-
TV show.
So this
Yeah,
is
it
a
had,
TV
uh,
talk show.
1965.
Okay, 1965 is when it started.
So I guess
so it was-
1989 is this TV talk show about Green Acres.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was like a special or something.
It's kind of like the Beverly Hillbillies or
Yeah.
something. Like,
Well, it had Zsa Zsa Gabor,
It's a little too old for me.
and she's from the city, and he's a farmer, and so
oh, so very much like
yeah, so she comes to the farm, but she's very wealthy, and it had Gomer Pyle in it.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know. It's very 50s ish
Yeah,
comedy. So, like, hey there, Mrs.
Yeah, because now the nostalgia shifted, so now like 80s and 90s are like our childhoods.
Yep.
60s and 70s. That's so crazy.
That is weird. I've always hated though, like with radio stations where they're like, it's classic rock, and then you hear Foo Fighters, and I'm like, no, classic rock's an era. Like classic not rock is not like 20 years ago. Okay.
So I don't know. Like I used to think that, and then the more I hear like the official classifications and stuff, they do say it's like a shifting, like how old the songs become.
Yeah.
Because classic rock, I started hearing like "Smells Like Teen Spirit" and stuff like. Oh.
If you do that, exactly. Well, and then eventually it'll move into oldies because oldies does the same exact thing. Like if you turn to oldies channels, you hear Aerosmith, and I'm like, wait, that's not oldies at all. So
Yeah.
I feel like if you like reclassify, because I think for a while they called like the 50s and 60s, like the golden oldies.
Okay.
I feel like, and then they moved on to like, okay, these are oldies. Like, and then maybe if you reclassified those, but I don't know. I feel like radio stations, that doesn't matter anymore because they're dying off. But
Yeah, I think in general, the classification is like kind of like shifting thing with the times. Because like Futurama had that joke where Fry got depressed, and then Leela like walks in on him, and he's just sitting in his underwear listening to Baby Got Back, and then she's like, "Fry, you can't just sit in your underwear all day listening to classical music." I was like, "Oh yeah."
I mean, you do
true.
have neoclassical music, so there is at least something.
I had just had this conversation with
Yeah?
somebody, I forget who it was, about listening to all the classic rock that I listened to because my dad, and now that a lot of them are considered oldies now.
Mm-hmm. Like,
So
I
that's
feel
like proof of like that whatever's society's like saying that music is shifting.
I feel like The Who and Aerosmith and Cream and
God, Cream.
just
Haven't thought
stuff
about
like that. I feel like that is classic rock, and you really can't change that. But that's just me. Anyway,
Now it's oldies.
we're so old. Speaking of old,
and Sinatra
so
is
old.
classical.
That's true. Speaking of old, so old that he died. Kazushika Hashimoto.
I'm not even trying.
Kazuhisa Hashimoto.
He created the famous Konami code. He died.
How old was he?
I don't know. Let's take a look.
It says here his death was first announced on Twitter by his friend Yuji, a sound designer for Dark Souls. I'm trying to figure out how old he was.
You probably just look it up.
Konami Code was first implicated in shooting game Gradius. That's actually where I learned it because my brother, he's like, "Why don't you get the shields?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" In Gradius, right when you have the start screen, you hit in the Konami Code and you get shields and then 2 like floaty bomb things that come with it.
So how was it implied?
What do you mean?
Oh, you said it was implicated in that game. I thought maybe there was like a. Like
it started.
it was like put into that game. Okay, so
that's the first game I think.
Because like like in the first Mortal Kombat, like Reptile was like heavily like implied and stuff, but it wasn't like part of the game. Well, he would you could play him at the end, but not really. And it wasn't until like a couple later
that you could actually be him
and stuff. But that would have been cool if it was like in. Like,
he's just like, hey.
Oh no, I mean like the Konami Code was like in the thing.
That's interesting. Like even Hashimoto himself, after the whole thing with Gradius, he was the first person to take Gradius from arcade to Nintendo Entertainment System, and then even himself like found the game way too hard to beat. That game's impossible to beat.
Yeah, it's hard.
Isn't the
most NES games are hard?
All cheat codes were so that the developers could work on it, right?
Oh, I didn't know
until a certain
that.
Point,
Yeah,
or most of them at least. I'm assuming the Konami Code is something similar. But,
yeah. I just remember putting it in for Contra because at the beginning, like Contra was super, super hard. But towards like in college, when I was at a different college for the first 2 years, and I wanted to first be like a music teacher, and I learned within like the first day I didn't want to do that, and so like I was kind of bored like at college, and so I just started playing my old NES, and I got to beat it without dying,
Nice.
at all. So it's like, hey guys, look at me, and they're like, good job. All right, do something with your life, Josh.
I have the Disney like I forget what's called like retro collection or something. It's for the Switch. It's Aladdin and Lion King.
Yeah.
And also like various versions of them. But also on that same game, you can go to like a special features and there's like behind the scenes you can watch on your Switch of the making of Aladdin and Lion King.
That's cool.
Lion King's all old footage. You can tell there was some sort of press kit that went internally or like something. But the Aladdin one is like newly shot like interviews. And they talk with one of the or maybe he was the main programmer or something. He made the infrastructure for Aladdin. And when you type in the cheat code for Aladdin, I don't know if you remember this, but his face actually pops up on screen.
I can't remember.
And it was never intended for anybody to find. It was for him or for his team so that they could like, work on the levels without having to like go
to
through
skip them
everything.
or whatever, yeah.
And because the cheat things would allow you to like pull up the map and you could zoom into any area and stuff like that, or skip stuff or whatever. And then he said like it made me like it was a mistake, but it made me like the most contractable person for a while
because his face popped up.
His face popped up, and it was associated with the success of that game. Like
that's cool. I mean, it's so weird how like wildfire, like those codes would just take off, like because someone would be like, oh hey, here's the code, like, and I'm like, what? And like, there's a code even before the internet, just by mouth.
Wildfire in old people pace.
I mean, it would happen real quick. I mean, you get it, and you'd know someone else that had it. You know,
But see, at the time,
like
it felt
school
like
especially.
it felt like it was really fast.
Yeah.
And stuff. And now I see, and it's like literally like seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the MK11, like secrets came out of that before, like months before it released, just from like testing. I was like, oh, it almost ruined it. You know, like.
So he was 61.
Oh, that's
wow,
not
that's
too
young,
old.
man.
Wonder what happened.
So far, I haven't been able to learn that.
I guess it doesn't really matter. They probably didn't put it out there if it's not all over all the news sites.
Yeah.
It just keeps saying article after article that they didn't specify.
Ah, that's probably on purpose then.
Yeah. Let him be then.
Up, up, down, down.
Exactly. WandaVision, I think we talked about earlier. The crew celebrates the end of the filming.
Nice.
Yay.
Yay.
So hopefully,
There's so much involved with that.
yeah.
I can't wait. I think all that Marvel's stuff is going to be so great.
There's so many great
It's
videos
Definitely going to be a weird.
about that show, too, that kind of give you more of an insight of what you're going to watch.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird thing. You could introduce a lot of stuff into there. You can introduce mutants into it. I mean, maybe, and she's going to be in this Doctor Strange movie, and there's just a lot of great crossover stuff that can happen. I mean, this week we talked about there's some article going around about Henry Cavill being Wolverine.
I'm not saying I buy it. It seems plausible to me.
Really?
I mean, I'm not saying I like it necessarily either. I'm just saying it seems plausible.
I mean, like, where did it come from, though? I mean, like, I saw it on like we got this covered in a couple other places that were just not completely credible.
I don't know.
I just don't know. Like, it takes on a life of its own and just runs out there.
I guess the reason I say it seems plausible is like he seems to kind of be like becoming more and more of like an it guy now, especially after like The Witcher.
Yeah,
it's Witcher, right?
Yeah.
And he arguably was a pretty decent Superman.
Yeah, I liked him as Superman.
outside of the writing that was given to him.
Yeah, I didn't like the shooting and the writing. Yeah, just wasn't a big fan of that. But he was great. I feel like as he looked like Superman, 100%. He had the size.
Yeah.
Him and Affleck both had the size, and that's what's weird about him being Wolverine. Wolverine's a short dude. He's giant.
What was it? We know, or whatever. I read something, or somebody said, or in a YouTube video that they know he's not going to do it because of his contracts with Superman. Like he wants to be Superman.
Yeah, he's still. Whenever he talks about it, he still wants to be Superman. Which
So
is
he's
weird.
not going to do.
The WB wouldn't want to do
and
more.
plus he's like locked in for like 4 seasons of Witcher or
Yeah.
whatever, 3 or 2, I forget how many seasons.
But also, like, who knows how long till they introduce the X-Men anyway.
You know
Yeah.
who would have been great though? God rest his soul,
Mm-hmm.
Bob Hoskins as Wolverine, like in good
Yeah.
shape when he was young. Bob.
I don't think I
you
remember
seen
him
a
being
photo
that
of him?
young. No,
Oh my God!
he
like
just
the
makes
size,
me think of Danny
everything's
DeVito.
right.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. In his old age, he was like kind of like frumpy and fat.
Yeah.
Something that like would kind of like be a pro for me on the Henry Cavill side of Wolverine is, did you see the latest Mission Impossible movie?
I saw a little bit of it. I didn't watch that.
Or even in the it's in the trailer. There's a moment like he like punches this guy into a
yeah.
urinal. It's something about the sound editing and just his stance.
He's big,
like,
dude.
You feel it, but there were big guys in the movie that I didn't feel that punch like he did. It was just something about the way he like swung and the back muscle and stuff. And you're like, cool.
That's a
like,
great action scene. Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I mean, bring that energy to Wolverine, like maybe.
I'd love it, but again, like part of the character is the way the character looks and has been historically. I just feel, and Hugh Jackman got a little bit away with it because they used a lot of boxes for James Marsden to stand on because he's incredibly short compared to Hugh Jackman. So
Yeah, here's like here's looking at you, bub.
yeah, I can see that a little bit.
I guess like for that time period's like filming, that would have worked. Yeah, like for like a made for TV or even a movie.
Yeah.
Like
It just sucks that there's nobody that looks like this right now, or they haven't found him yet.
I mean, I'm sure there's a billion people out there that probably could do a really good job.
I would love that. Yeah.
I feel like at this point, Wolverine, like because of Hugh Jackman, Wolverine's has like it started a tradition of Wolverine being an unknown.
Yeah, I hope that they continue that because when you, like I said, with the Pattinson stuff and Affleck stuff, you're bringing baggage into it if you don't get someone that's new, especially that someone that's supposed to be like the face of your next franchise, But I feel like Warner Brothers always goes for the big actor. It's like that kind of old school to where like, oh, we need to support this film by having a really good, well-known actor in it as well.
They could have that. It just that would be like Magneto or Professor X or something. Like have like the
I've
one.
seen Daniel
poster.
Craig like stuff, mock-ups of him as Magneto, and I was like, that's good. I
really?
think I'd take Daniel Craig as Magneto.
Would he still be Jewish?
I don't know.
So the weird thing is when we saw Knives Out, I didn't buy him as a Southern detective.
Yeah.
I think I just locked him as a Brit in my head.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he didn't do a bad job. It was just like, huh? I just associate your face with a British guy.
That's true.
You know, like.
So what is this deal with Tom wanting to? This next article here is that Tom Holland wants to bring Spider-Man into WandaVision. It's him himself talking to these people.
I think it was
saying,
just like an off comment where he's like, "I'd love to be in that because that looks cool."
Tom Holland has a lot of articles written about that because he gives interviews where he's basically a kid. So he's just like, "Oh, it'd be cool to be in the," and then the entire articles
And
are
then they
written.
write,
so there's nothing else than just like a comment.
I think the WandaVision show looks really cool, said Holland. It looks very stylistic. It almost looks like a little bit like a sitcom with the way they shot it. Well, duh. I mean, sorry, Tom.
Yeah, he's a little young.
The good news is it looks like they've only given him as much information as they've given the crowd.
You can literally in the things like as a I don't know. I was born in '84, so as a person in '84, I'm like, oh, that's Brady Bunch. Oh,
Yeah.
that's Dick Van Dyke. Oh, that's Lucy.
Or that's
you could
Roseanne.
See,
That's
you could see the color. Roseanne. You could see the colors of the palettes.
Was it Falcon and Winter Soldier that Omega Red's supposed to debut in?
I think that was just an unused. There's an article about Omega Red possibly being, and that'd be sweet. I would love that. The artwork that came out was actually just released as possible artwork for, I think Logan.
Okay, there was another movie.
I'd love Omega Red. Though.
There was a
That'd be
prison scene where
so rad.
Omega Red is in the background of another X-Men movie.
I don't remember it.
And then deleted scenes are what they're using for the articles they're writing now about Omega Red being a Falcon. The stuff I read about Falcon Winter Soldier is saying like it might be introduced just because like since it's a TV show, it's going to have one of those like there might be another villain every few episodes or something.
Yeah.
You know, or I don't know. So like it's a possibility of like just kind of slowly. It wouldn't be completely implausible to me just because of the nature of like the military like nature of like those characters and stuff. To have to fight like somebody from like the Cold War era. Actually, it would be really interesting because it's kind of like that. What was that Brendan Fraser movie where he was a caveman?
Encino Man.
Yes, it's kind of like a really cool Encino Man because like back in the day, Omega Red was the bad guy because like I guess not Russians are bad guy now for a different reason, but like at that time it was like Cold War, blah blah, and then the Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore, and now it's like. So those characters are still out there, but now we're so far removed from that time period that it would be really interesting to see what someone who's been like frozen or trapped, as a Cold War experiment, waking up, now, kind of like Cap, but evil. Waking up, he's like, "Oh, we're gonna take over."
Well, Bucky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I would love to see him in Deadpool 2 or 3 or whatever we're on now.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'd love that. I just love Omega Red. I just don't. I don't know. I love all those great characters. I mean, I love X-Men the most. My mom has been like, "Hey, I want to do something special for you guys, whatever." And I was like, "Hey, this X-Men box set came out." She's like, "What's that?" It's comic books. My girls will like it. They'll read it. I swear.
That's why I asked for gift cards.
Exactly. Hey, if you guys want to do something nice for us, you should buy us that X-Men box set. It's only $350. Jeez.
That's why Whitney Cummings was on the Kelly Clarkson show. She was giving out like advice for Valentine's Day. She was like, "Guys, I know it's less romantic, but instead of flowers and candy, gift cards, because then she can buy what she really wants without you knowing."
Oh. All right, let's kind of round this guy up here. What else we got? We got Allison Brie addresses the She-Hulk casting rumors. I haven't actually read this article yet.
I've seen a lot of photoshops and I've heard a lot of rumors, but I didn't know if it was one of those like, "Oh, that's completely implausible. That's never going to happen," things. But
there's a lot of people that are like really wanting her to play it though. It's kind of weird.
The photoshops I saw of her like looked. I was like, well, if you needed to pitch me, that looks legit.
Yeah.
They basically just like kind of took her skin tone and like made it realistically green.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I could buy that.
I wonder what they're gonna do for it though, because I mean she gets bigger, but she's always green, and she's just like herself all the time. So she's never.
Yeah, she's like a lawyer or something.
Yeah, I mean, so it might be like a little bit like Professor Hulk. So.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Also, I saw this is not a rumor in the sense of like it might happen. It's like a hopeful speculation that maybe this She-Hulk show is where they start introducing people like the Totally Awesome Hulk.
Okay.
It's a Henry Cho.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Korean Hulk,
Yeah.
and stuff, because his mom was in Ultron. She was the scientist helping.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
I didn't catch it either until later. I was trying to like look up some stuff about the She-Hulk things. Like, oh, Allison Brie, I bet that'd work, especially after all this like glow stuff and everything.
Yeah.
And then
I'm not a fan of all the Hulks. I don't know.
yeah. Well,
Like
I
Red
just,
Hulk and New Hulk and whatever, Hulkling and
it would just be interesting to me, mostly because they've already introduced his mother, in it, because she was the scientist that helped Tony Stark build Ultron. Those scenes, but also like, you know, I hear this a lot, like, why, like, if there's gonna be a character of color, like, why didn't it just be somebody else instead of like replacing, you know, like Tony Stark or something? So this is one of those cases where it's a Hulk, but it's like his own, like a Miles Morales or something.
Yeah.
It's like his own thing, and it's also like in a smaller, like, kind of test scale. So just, I don't really know anything. I haven't read any of the Henry Cho Hulks or whatever.
Yeah.
But say you just throw him in there. If it doesn't do well, he was a cool character that walked through the set. If it all of a sudden, like, everybody loves it and like, let's start greenlighting some movies, you know, like.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's only so much movies, and I feel like there's so many good characters that deserve like movies ahead of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But what I'm saying
TV
is,
shows,
like,
yes.
But if it blew up and it was just like, well, we have to now, you know, like, you can't, like, you know, imagine if, because this Disney Plus with the MCU stuff is kind of implying that it has a potential to kind of change what we think of as far as like cinema and TV.
Yeah.
Because right now we're thinking of as TV shows, but what if it's something else? What if it's like?
I mean, it's kind of moving that way. I mean, the way that cinema is.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean though, because like now we have all the characters that were in all the billion-dollar blockbuster movies on what we think is a TV show. When have we ever had that in that scale before? You know, what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, those TV shows are pretty nice. I mean, they look like movies. I mean, Mandalorian. There's a couple scenes that were like looked a little okay. It's TV show esque, but like that looks really good.
But like, yeah, like with WandaVision and Falcon and stuff, like what are, I'm trying to think of like a parallel. Like imagine like the Matrix, like after the first Matrix movie came out, if they got that same behind the scenes crew, the same stars and everything, the same sets, and they're like, we're gonna make a weekly TV show. Like, what would that have meant at that time? That's crazy, you know?
It's just too much money put into it, though. You know, like to do an actual movie. That's why it looks so nice, and there's just too much money thrown into it.
Well, I'm just saying the start. Like, there's
with this, this possible, but I mean, not maybe weekly because that Falcon show is only like
okay, like
6 episodes.
Let's say it's not even. Yeah, I'm trying to like
6.
That's
maybe it's 8.
That's not a. I guess my point isn't getting across. So like,
Sorry.
say it's just the stars. Say you get like this all the actors from the original Matrix and have them in a TV show. Like, when did that happen before? Like, like what would that have meant at that time? You know,
like
so,
from the movies, like a crossover into the
like the actual actors, like bring them into a TV series on some sort of periodic schedule over a season. Like, what would that have meant? You know, like.
Well, movies and television in general, I feel like have kind of been at war. Like if you did movies, like you were in the big leagues, you're in the club, you know. And when you're doing and when you step down into TV, it was almost like, oh my gosh, I guess they're not doing so well. They gotta take TV now, and that's which is why I think that the earlier Marvel shows they didn't have so many crossovers into it, and they fought a little bit like that. But now the Disney Plus idea is that they're one and the same because streaming is. You're going to the same places.
That's what I was going to say. Movies. There is no TV anymore.
Yeah.
Disney Plus, to me, isn't TV. It's Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's movies.
It's the same thing as like it's the movies.
See, what I'm saying is I think there's a potential. There's definitely a potential that's just going to be TV shows with big stars and stuff. But I think there's a potential for it to be something else that we haven't like named yet. Like we just don't know what that is. Because to me, The Mandalorian still was a show, even though the production value was like quite higher than in some other shows. At least how they executed it, at the very least. I don't know what the money actually was. But it looked very, very close to the movies and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, that was a bunch of people that weren't in the movies.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, what does that mean when we have all the people that we just saw for the last 10 years, like, suddenly in some sort of, like, basically, well, we think of it as a TV show now, but when it all starts rolling out, like, how will we see it then, you know? Because when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. started, I don't know if the general public felt like this, but our filmmaker friends were like, Sam Jackson just appeared on an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was like, that doesn't happen.
Exactly.
Like, and that was one guy, you know, however many years ago. So what does it mean now when you have the entire cast?
Yeah. I don't know.
So that's why I'm saying, like, you know, like, I think going back to the Henry Cho, I think that's his name. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Henry Cho is the totally amazing Hulk or whatever, totally awesome Hulk. Like, if they decided to do that, I haven't even seen anything that's just like saying that's happening. I just saw some like wishful thinking from people because they were like, oh, if there was a place to introduce him, this thing may be the place.
Is a chance, yeah.
And if that happened, like,
but they're doing Young Avengers, I think that'd be a really good spot to.
But see, like, what
introduce him?
What would that mean for Henry Cho? Because now that it's like you have like these, once again, like I said, like these Disney Plus shows that have all these stars, but we haven't gone the other way around yet. We haven't had
the
like
stars start on the show and go to the movies.
Yeah, like we haven't had Daredevil suddenly appear in Endgame, which I would have loved to have seen.
Oh yeah,
but like, what would that have meant for that character? What if it meant for like Jessica Jones we saw on Netflix to appear in Infinity War, even disappear? Like
we talked about this many times to where we're like, it'd been sweet if just one portal opened up and there's the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then or like the Defenders, and that's all you needed to show us, and we'd have been like, it's all connected, But I'm sure the movie era is still like fighting a little bit with that TV era to where they're like, well, we don't want to like the TV shows, we might want to keep those separate because we'll turn those into movies later, kind of to where the movies are still a big thing and the TV shows, meh. But maybe the Disney Plus is definitely separating that because we got people straight from the movies in actual shows. So
like, what if this is one of many possibilities. What if like a MCU Disney Plus show makes a movie star? Like in the process of the show, kind of like there were rumors like the Ms. Marvel stuff, would eventually become a movie or something, and it's like I know that's still like very like is it true or not, but also like who knows? We've never been in this territory before.
I think Feige did come out and say that that's definitely a big possibility that these characters that they have that they like Ms. Marvel and others, She-Hulk, might possibly come out in a movie, and I feel like since the Disney Plus thing is all together as one. Because both departments have kind of merged with the Marvel stuff, that's definitely a possibility.
It's definitely a possibility.
I guess the closest we've come is like Power Rangers was a TV show, and then there was a big build-up movie.
Yeah.
But even then, well, it was the actors, wasn't it?
My big thing is that now that it's not, none of these shows are attached to a network, we're going to see it.
Yeah,
like
I think that's the biggest thing is it's not on a network.
That was the big deal, was the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC, and dude shows up. That was a huge deal, like Rod said. But that was the last time we ever had something of that magnitude.
And so even though ABC is a Disney network, it's still, I feel like it's different.
Well, later, Lady Sif appeared on there.
Yeah.
Then they slowed down.
Yeah. They stopped doing it.
And that's, I think Chloe Bennett like had like voiced her frustration with that or whatever. But
now that there's no TV, the options are there now.
Yeah. Agreed. However, like I know that some people are still not on that kind of route because I know that they talked to Boyega about him possibly being in like one of these Star Wars things, and I think it had to have been pre-Mandalorian because of how well that turned out, and he might not have realized it could be that good. He's like, "Oh no, they're not going to Disney Plus me," as what he told the.
That's kind of annoying to me. I mean, it doesn't matter because nobody's gonna listen to me anyway. But like. This is the reason I'm not an exec. If I was a Hollywood exec, I'm like, we're definitely Disney Plusing you now. So it's like you're not even in the last Star Wars movie. You're on Disney Plus now for like one cameo in The Mandalorian, and it's the janitor.
Oh man,
it's just because it just shows me like how out of touch he is of like how things work now.
It's so different so soon though. I mean, like I feel like most people like that we just haven't grasped it. Like we understand it because we talk about this crap every freaking week. But I feel like most people don't realize that this is moving in a different direction.
I agree, but also like he's in the movie business, so I feel like
but those kind of people, I feel like they're never told. You should think about this.
But that's why I'm saying like that just kind of like shows like if there was the assumption of like, oh, you're a big Hollywood guy, so you're out of touch. That was like that's proof. You don't know what's going on.
Agreed. Well, guys. Yeah, I think we're done.
All right.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks for hanging in with us. If you guys want us to talk about anything, I appreciate. Let us know. Give us a comment on anything, anywhere.
Podcast or Podbean for sure, because we check that stuff.
Yeah.
And write a review.
If you guys, I got a question. If you guys would be interested in any kind of like yellow spandex merch, like T-shirts or something like that, let us know because we definitely have the ability to do that too.
Yes.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Like yellow spandex?
Yeah. Just like a little logo.
Oh, no, I mean like...
Oh, actual yellow spandex? Ooh, maybe we could.
Some Wolverine spandex.
See if
It's
we
just
can
a
print
big
on spandex.
spandex onesie.
That'd be sweet. I don't know if I'd want to see it, though.
Make it very unflattering as well.
It would have to be Wolverine because that's the point.
It's true.
We just get Wolverine onesies that have like yellow spandex.
But because of
logo on it.
copyright laws, it'll be like Badger or something.
The badger.
Yeah, it'll
it's
be called like Wolferine.
Yeah, no, we're all honey badgers in yellow
Honey
outfits.
badger don't care.
See? On an Australian honey badger.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Talk to you later.
All right, we'll see you next time.